Hi friends, welcome to Carrie's Culinary Crafts, and if you're new, welcome. I'm Carrie, and here on Carrie's Culinary Crafts we talk all things food. And today I wanted to show you, look at my basil. Look at this basil leaf. It is, well, I accidentally pulled it off. I'm going to use it today anyway. It actually covers my hand. That is how big it is. So if any of you were wondering if the Arrow Garden works, it definitely works. For me, what I use it for are just for herbs. I got it as a Christmas gift from my husband a couple years ago, and I would just plant herbs in it, and that was it. What I find what works the best is the basil, and it doesn't take long at all. This is about 4 weeks, maybe not even 4 weeks. I mean, it literally grows so fast. And what I will do with these, one of the plants, this time I planted 3 separate plants. There's one back here too. So one plant I will pull out and put in a mason jar of water on my kitchen window ledge over here. And then the other 2 plants we will go out and plant in the garden where I pulled out some basil plants to harvest. So, and you'll see me doing that in another video whenever I do some more preserving of the things that I harvested outside. So, and that's what I'll do. I'll pull out 3 plants or however many plants that I plant in here. Sometimes I do 4. I find if I do all 6 of them, they get too crowded and they don't grow as big like this. So I like to spread them out. I did plant 4. Oh, there is a 4th one back there. Yeah, so I did plant 4. So I'll pull 4 plants. I'll replant those where those 4 plants were pulled out. Then I'll start 4 more in here, and then in a couple weeks when they're big like this, I will pull them out and I'll harvest more basil from the garden and replant them. And I do that all summer long. So I constantly have tons and tons of fresh basil because I do a lot of things with basil. We make pesto, we make herb butter, and some of it I'll dehydrate because I need to dehydrate enough to make sure I have until next year, because I make my Italian seasoning blend, and basil is a big opponent of the Italian seasoning blend. So I dehydrate some of the basil so I can make enough of the Italian season blend to last me throughout the year. I cut it really close this year. I had about this much left in my jar before I was able to harvest the first round of herbs in order to make up another quart of Italian seasoning blend. So I still need to work on that, but definitely proud of my basil here. And it smells so good. Okay, here is today's harvest. I harvested some dill that I want to use in doing some pickles. A whole bunch of basil I pulled out so I can replant those basils, and then we can reseed the Arrow Garden. I got several zucchinis, 2, 4, 6 zucchinis. This was some loose lettuce leaves. I didn't need very much because I have a bunch in the refrigerator, but I noticed that this was starting to wilt, so I wanted to bring it in and give it some water. If you put wilted lettuce in water for at least 20 minutes, half hour, it's going to come back to life. So anytime that I see some of my lettuce struggling, I just bring it in and put it in a bowl of cool water. I got some radishes. and I got several pickling cucumbers. So that is what I'm going to do with this dill here, is I'm going to make some dill pickles. And that is today's harvest. So as you can see, I had a pretty nice harvest for early in the season. My previous harvest was herbs only, and this time I had some vegetables along with the herbs. So it was a great haul. And so today what I'm going to be doing is, with all that basil, I am going to be doing some pesto. Last year I did some pesto, and when I used it, we all thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, one of the recipes that I made up when I was trying to utilize some different ingredients that I had in my kitchen, I made some pesto chicken, which I've never made before, but it instantly became a favorite of ours. So I knew within this season I was going to have to at least double my pesto recipes. So with this haul, I'm gonna haul of pesto, haul of basil, I am going to make some pesto. And so I was gonna bring you along with me. Now for the pesto, I have 4 packed cups of basil here. Okay, so this is, ouch, this is like a double recipe of my regular recipe. So 4 packed basil leaves. I am going to need 1 cup of pine nuts. Now, if you don't have pine nuts, or don't want to purchase pine nuts because they do tend to be a lot more expensive, you can substitute any other kind of nuts you'd like. Walnuts is a common one because it's a much cheaper nut. But I do prefer the pine nuts, just your standard basil recipe. So I will need 1 cup, so that's approximately half of this pint jar, because I keep my nuts in the freezer. So these are still frozen. I am going to need 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. I have some Parmesan Reggiano here. So I'm going to shred this up. I am going to need a couple cloves of garlic. And those of you who've been following me, you know that I put all my garlic into garlic pucks and stick them in the freezer. So I have a garlic puck here. And in this container, I have some fresh cilantro. My husband was at a graduation party over this past weekend, and they gave him a lot of like ingredients that they had laying around because they weren't going to use them all. And one of the ingredients that they gave us was some fresh cilantro. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and add that into the pesto as well. I am going to need at least 1 lemon. I am probably going to be needing more than that. However, I don't have fresh lemon, but I do have bottled lemon juice, so I will use that if needed. And other than salt and pepper, the other ingredient we're going to need is a good quality olive oil, and I'm going to need a cup of it since I'm doubling the recipe. So I'm going to be using the rest of this bottle in there. And that is it. I'm going to just put all these ingredients into my food processor and process it up, and then I'm going to put it into some silicone molds so I can stick it in the freezer. If there is any left over, I am going to use some mason jars in order to get them in the freezer and freeze them as well. And I will keep them in the freezer so all winter long I will have some fresh homemade basil from our garden. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and make this basil. First thing I'm gonna do is get some of this lemon juice in there. So there's some liquid on the bottom. It'll make it much easier for using the food processor. Okay, and that's definitely not enough lemon juice, so I am going to get my bottled lemon juice out. So I need about 1/2 cup of lemon juice, and that is definitely not 1/2 cup. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in my basil. And 1 cup of the grated Parmesan. I'm going to add in this cilantro and garlic. And I'm going to put 1 cup of the pine nuts. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the top on it and start pulsing this. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add in the olive oil. Smells so good. Okay. Yep, that is delicious. Yum. Okay. All right, and I have this silicone mold here. Okay, now I'm gonna pack that down. All right, and then I'm gonna put this lid on and I'm gonna get this into the freezer. And once this is totally froze, I will put these into a freezer bag. And here are 3 4-ounce little like jelly jars, ball jars. I'm gonna go ahead and fill these up. This one is just a little too full. Remember, when you're freezing stuff in your jars, make sure you leave enough room for expansion. probably am only going to need one more. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and put lids and rings on these and get these in the freezer. And there is some homemade pesto. Okay, so that is it for the basil pesto. I just wanted to show you guys how simple and easy it is to make pesto. You only need a few ingredients, and like I said, you can always substitute the nuts. If you don't want to use the pine nuts, you can certainly substitute walnuts or cashews or whatever you'd like. You know, sunflower seeds. I would actually like to try some basil with sunflower seeds. I think that would be good. But that'll be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you Hit that subscribe button down below if you're new and you haven't done it already. And give me a thumbs up. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, friends.